So out of nowhere, Valve just announced Counter-Strike 2, an update that brings CSGO into the new Source 2 engine. So what's changed? Well, not that much, to be honest. The guns look and sound the same, the character models and their voice lines, as far as I can tell, are the same. The main differences are graphical fidelity and lighting changes thanks to Source 2's new ray tracing, minor UI tweaks, better explosion, fire and blood effects, and a funky new smoke effect that you can shoot through. Which, I don't know if that makes any sense, but let's just roll with it. Most of the maps are one-to-one ports of their CSGO counterparts, with a few upgrade and overhaul maps where they kind of just changed the time of day and made it a bit more cartoony. I don't know, it's really just a matter of personal preference. I think that the grungy aesthetic of the Source map suits the subject matter of the game a bit better. Everything else was just very technical performance improvements that likely only matter to the very highest echelon of professional players and basically just flew over everyone else's heads. Given all that, it doesn't really sound that different, does it? A bit like what Half-Life Source did, but, you know, not completely fucking terrible. Honestly, the fact that Valve is still selling that game on Steam is pretty unbelievable. Now, I don't blame them for not changing much. CSGO is a massively competitive game in the esports scene, and messing with the game's established strats would cause a big uproar. And making an entirely new game would be very hard to justify financially, given how much money CSGO already makes. I personally would prefer an all-new game, as I like playing a lot of different games instead of spending hours learning a game's meta and then playing only that one game. But then again, I also bought a gaming PC only to emulate PS2 games, so what the hell do I know? Given all this, it would be fair to say that Valve is very much a subscriber of the if it ain't broke, don't fix it philosophy. And I think that's the main reason that when looking back at what they were doing 20 years ago to what they're doing now, they kind of fell off. Valve had only been around for 2 years and they had already released a genre-defining god-tier game, the original Half-Life. It came out in 1997 and was developed using the Gold Source engine, which is interestingly enough based on id Software's Quake engine. CSGO is using the Source engine, which is based on Gold Source, meaning at some level, it's probably still using some id Software code from 1996. Kind of like a game engine inception. Seeing the success they had with making Doom and Quake completely moddable, Valve decided to follow suit by adding mod support to Half-Life, which spawned a massive modding community, making bangers like They Hunger, Afraid of Monsters, and later Cry of Fear. While they followed up Half-Life with expansions, they also did something quite novel, releasing community mods as official games, which would go on to become some of their most successful franchises, Counter-Strike and Team Fortress. By the mid-2000s though, things were starting to slow down, and fans were desperate for another first-party release from Valve, and they did not disappoint with Half-Life 2. This game marked the start of a golden era, where they released classic upon classic like Portal, Left 4 Dead, and TF2. Created using the new and improved Source engine, these games revolutionized the industry and revitalized the popularity of Valve modding. And while that same community is still active today, creating content for the Gary's Mod Workshop and amazing mods like Entropy 02, Black Mesa, and Hunt Down the
Black Mesa.
These games are getting really old now, and Valve hasn't been able to keep that momentum going like they used to. The Source 2 engine seemed like it was going to be the thing that would push Valve games into a new era, but for the most part, it has basically laid dormant. Now, obviously they did make Half-Life Alyx, and a new Half-Life game is not something you see every day, but this game was ridiculously inaccessible. Not only was it a full price game, but you also needed to sell your kidneys to get a good enough PC, and if you wanted the best experience, sell your soul to get the Valve Index. Half-Life Alyx is by no means a bad game, but due to this high barrier of entry, it didn't sell very well, and there are very few mods and maps for it. Now if they made Half-Life 3, then that would... I'm just coping. So that brings us to 2023, where Valve has just unveiled this Counter-Strike 2 update after 8 years of only giving us card games and VR games that not many people can afford to play. While I don't think Counter-Strike 2 changes very much, It might be the game that makes Source 2 modding more accessible to the masses, once again giving the community access to create high quality and graphically impressive mods and maps, much like they did with the original Source engine. And who knows, maybe if they sell enough CS2 skins, they'll be able to justify making more new games. Left 4 Dead 3 maybe, because we sure as hell know Back 4 Blood wasn't it. And maybe, just as they did 20 years ago, some Source 2 modder out there will create the next Left 4 Dead, the next Team Fortress, or the next Counter-Strike. So that's about it for this video. I just really wanted to talk about this because Valve actually doing something for once has reminded me how little they actually do. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. I'd love to make more videos like this, although I can't promise anything because, you know, I've got that Frank Ocean upload schedule. So, yeah. Bye.